Hi, this is Aaron at Power Popaholic. Today I am talking to musician Jamie James, who has a new album out. And Jamie, how you doing?
I feel great, man. How are you today, Aaron?
Good. And the cool thing is I didn't mention the name of the album because it happens to be also the name of my favorite Badfinger album.
Yeah,
What?
I saw that when I chose the name, but I figured that was so many decades ago, it wouldn't matter.
It's true. I mean, it is. I'm just busting your chops here with that,
Uh,
But so the name of the album is Straight Up, and it's primarily I would say a really good boogie rhythm and blues album. You have tremendous history that I just wanted to start on for a few minutes before we get into the album itself. You did work. You started out with the Kingbees, right?
yes, yes.
Oh, I love My Mistake. It's one of my favorite power pop songs, especially that middle break that you have in the middle of that song. Was that inspired by Dave Edmunds by any chance?
No, 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 no. That was inspired by, well, I modeled the band after Buddy Holly and the Crickets, to be honest with you.
Nice.
And it was inspired by my own burnout on all through the 70s, playing like an old 1960 Les Paul through a Marshall stack and doing single string solos. And I kind of made a pact with myself that I would only do double string solos, Yeah.
All right. Well, I really love it. And my final King Bees question was, did the King Bees ever play with similar kind of sounding bands at the time, which is in the 80s, like, the Stray Cats or somebody like that?
No, we actually broke up in early in 1981
Oh,
before,
broke
yeah,
up before the Stray Cats even became big.
yes, I think so. Yeah, they're a great band, and I do remember hearing them thinking, "Damn, I wish we wouldn't have broke up."
All right, all right. There was one other question I need to ask you about your past. On your Wikipedia page, it says you played in Steppenwolf. Were you part of Steppenwolf at any point?
No, no, no. I don't know who put that in there, but I'm not a social media person. But I did play with a group officially called the New Steppenwolf in 1977, the World Tour in 1977, where a few members of the original Steppenwolf had won a lawsuit to use the name for a
Hmm.
year. And and I auditioned and I did get that position and did that for just under a year actually.
Wow.
And then I went on to start the Kingbees.
All right, all right. That answers that question. I'm glad you cleared that up.
Yeah.
I have to touch on this only because you've been doing it for a while. Because I know you met Dennis Quaid through a connection with Harry Dean Stanton and the Cheap Dates, and
That's correct.
you had that. But how did you end up initially meeting Harry Dean Stanton?
I met Harry, my girlfriend at the time, her name's Kelly Coleman, and
Mhm.
her father was an actor, Dabney Coleman.
Ah,
And
yes, I
it
know
was in
that
the 80s. And
from 9 to 5.
yes, that's right. And
Yes.
we were over there for a July the 4th celebration. And in walks this kind of disheveled looking, kind of homeless looking guy. And I didn't know anything about Harry or his movies. And
Right.
my first thought was, oh man, Dabney's being really cool and giving back to the community. And he's inviting this homeless person over for July 4th. And so Harry, and then at some point we ended up on a sofa together, just sitting down, and there was a guitar, and I think I was playing, and he started to sing, and I thought, what a lovely voice, and so then I looked at him after a couple of songs. I looked at him and I said, Harry, I didn't know the buses ran on July 4th in Los Angeles. Figuring that's the only mode of transport, the only way he could have gotten way out there to Brentwood. And he laughed. He loved that. He just loved it. He loved that. And then from there we got to know each other well. And then he approached me about wanting to do some music together, which we did for the next 10 years.
Wow, 10 years. But excuse me. So the next thing that came out was, I guess, the album with the Cheap Dates. But only one album really came out, right?
Well, the cheap dates was kind of a short-lived thing.
Yeah.
We did it only a few shows together, and it was a wonderful group. But Harry was he was not crazy about traveling and going on the road and doing television performances, these kinds of things. I think he wanted to stay close to home, and so we got other musicians and kept doing local clubs.
Right, right. No, that's fine. I love some of the songs on that album, particularly the Chuck Berry like stuff on Miss Froggy and
Yeah,
I'll Be Your Baby. I mean, this I'll Be Your Baby Tonight's a great song.
yeah.
I like some of that. And then you ended up with meeting Dennis Quaid through him and then working on the band Dennis Quaid and the Sharks, right? And you had an album come out in 2018, but do you guys ever want to follow up with that? Is there any new album with Dennis in the works, or is that kind of like now
No,
that's
no, not,
past?
yeah, yeah, good question. No, not at this time. I mean, Dennis and I still love to play together. I was just over at his house a couple of weeks ago, just we spent the whole evening just playing, he was down on the piano, I was playing guitar. We love doing that. And that's one thing I'll say about Harry and Dennis as actors. They were musicians before they were actors, long before they were
Mm.
actors. Their first love was music. And I think you would find that actually in a lot of, it's not that uncommon to see that people got an acting pays well. Music does not.
We all know that. We hear that. But I love, let's get into the album now, straight up. So the initial song, Let the Praying Begin, has a little bit of, I mean, in my opinion, has a little bit of Allman Brothers DNA in there with the blues. It's really well layered, well written song. I think it's cool. How did that song initially come to be with you?
Well, like the album represents, it's called Straight Up. And basically, like the Kingbees, we recorded our first album in 2 days and we just played live. And that's what I did. I figured I'm going to get the guys from Dennis Quaid and the Sharks because we've been playing together for a long time. Like Tom, the
Right.
bass player, has been with me since the 80s.
Wow.
And Ken had been with me. He'd done some shows with me with Harry Dean, and so had Tom, and then into Dennis Quaid and the Sharks. And so I didn't want to, just let all of that, you get really tight after a long time. So I wanted to utilize that with some new songs I've been writing post COVID, 2020. And I took up playing harmonica because during COVID, it was killing time. So I took up harmonica seriously and practiced every day. And I don't know, I just started writing songs that were like, with a harmonica rack that would kind of like accommodate playing acoustic guitar. I had this old 1934 a Gibson L4 and just banging
Wow.
away on the L4 and playing the harmonica. And when I played the songs for the guys, they said they liked them. And so we rehearsed a couple times and went in and cut the album in an afternoon.
Very nice, very nice. So that's cool. I also like really, and a big highlight in the album for me also is Showbiz Boogie. It just fits in so nicely with your history. It also has like a little bit of I would say a little ZZ Top in there. You know what I mean? It just it takes off. It's a really good track, and I really like that one. The other one that I thought was could be more autobiographical there, but more for my dad than me, was Septuagenarian Blues. How did that come about?
Well, I mean, I wrote it really about myself. I'm 71 years old, and some days it's kind of bluesy when you're
Yeah,
driving down the street and you see the young, youthful, healthy bodies going out to the beach here in Los Angeles, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, like I miss those days. But and I started thinking, well, why don't I sing about it? So and I visit my doctor nearly twice a week. It's an
just like
exaggeration.
the lyrics. Oh,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Yeah, and I thought when I first wrote it, I called it Old Guy Blues, and I thought, well, I need to bring an edge of some humor to it, and so then I thought, septuagenarian, because probably a lot of people aren't going to even know what that means. It sounds prehistoric, like a
Yes.
dinosaur or something, and that's how that happened. Yeah.
All right, cool. Another song that I was curious about was "Knock Me Out." That is obviously about a woman. Is it anybody in particular?
All of them.
All of them. Awesome. So, another question I would have about this is, do you have a famous, a favorite blues artist that has influenced you over the years that you keep going back to?
You know, I think it's all blues, you know, whether it's Kenny Burrell, the great jazz guitar player, or whether it's Freddie King, or Robert Johnson,
Yep.
or I have so many different. I know I don't have a favorite. I love them all. I mean, my favorite all-time guitar player for me is
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix. He's my favorite.
Wow.
By the
Yeah.
way, I want to go back to one thing. By the way,
Sure.
Showbiz Boogie. Is it okay if I just say, you mentioned Showbiz Boogie?
Yes.
That's the second single. It just came out last week, and people can find it on YouTube just under Jamie James Showbiz Boogie. There's a video for that as well, and so I just wanted to put that little plug in there. I hope it's okay.
Sure, absolutely. That's what we're here for, to promote the music and, make sure people hear it because it's definitely music that deserves to be heard. As far as also, Jimi Hendrix, your favorite guitarist, did you model yourself after, I mean, the Kingbees and later on, did you sort of model yourself after a traditional pop rock group and then sort of veer into country and rhythm and blues, or was it sort of the rhythm and blues and country was always in you and you just let it come out on your solo albums a little more?
It's always been in me, and I kind of like Jimi Hendrix was a little over my head to try and like learn his riffs when I first started playing guitar in the 60s. I got my first electric guitar for Christmas in 1966. But things that were more attainable for me were, the Richie Blackmore, Deep Purple,
Hmm.
the guitar player and James Brown, those kind of things were the Animals, and so I kind of went for, and then about a year or so later, a couple of years later, the Jeff Beck Truth album and the first Led Zeppelin album, those were a lot of riffs that I could figure out more easily than Jimi Hendrix. So honestly, I just figured out whatever was the easiest to figure out, which was really like Chuck Berry and Jimmy Page and those kind of things. Yeah.
Well, it just sounds wonderful. I would encourage you to write more and do more, straight rock and roll like the Kingbees did, and
Yes.
just keep playing. So this album, when is officially drops? Is it officially out now, or is it?
Yeah, it's available on all the social media platforms, or like Spotify and Apple and everything. And then the vinyl's going to come out on September 12th. We're going to do a vinyl record that'll be in the vinyl shops in America and Europe. Mhm.
Awesome, awesome. Jamie James, I want to thank you so much for talking with me with this
My pleasure.
short interview. The album's called Straight Up, and I would encourage you all to get it and listen to it. It's got some great music in there, not just rock and roll, but rhythm and blues, especially if you're a fan of that. And I like some rhythm and blues as well because I can't live on power pop alone for sure. And thank you so much.
My pleasure. It's nice meeting you, Aaron. Have a great day.
All right, take care then.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.